speed and cannot keep up with the demand on a global stage. So when I look at us, and Alan knows this because we talked about this. I look at Eastern North Carolina as a community. When I look at this seat that Senator Pate filled so wonderfully well, I look at it as the seat of the 7th district. And I look at it as a seat that belongs to the people. I am, and the people that know me will tell you I'm about the people, the taxpayers. And when I look at this seat, to me, obviously we have Wayne and Lenore, but I don't see Wayne Lenore. I see citizens of the 7th district. Because we can't afford to get diverted with territorial conversations. We really have to focus on us and getting better. We have to get better for our people. These are tier 1 counties. And so my focus in my serving has been on the agribusiness community. And I've been down and I think if you want to serve, then you need to understand the people you're serving. And so I've been on the farms. I spend time, Chris and I go out and eat breakfast in rural communities, but I go on the farms and I talk with the farmers and we talk about their needs. And when the hog rally was in Raleigh, I went to support our hog farmers. When Joey Carter, even though he's in Duplin County, had the hog rally there, I went because it supports our hog farmers in eastern North Carolina. But what I'm trying to say is that there are people who look at this in the territorial context of each county, but Wayne and Lenore are together. Alan will tell you, we already have an airspace corridor that is Wayne, Lenore, Craven. And in that airspace corridor, we're not looking at Wayne, we're not looking at Craven, we're not looking at Lenore. We're looking at how we can grow that airspace corridor. When Alan and I talk about the global transport, we're not talking about how we can bring jobs to Lenore County. We talk how we can bring jobs to the region. And the region is Wayne and Lenore and Pitt and Greene. We have Spirit Airspace in Lenore County. Half the people that work at Spirit come from Wayne, Pitt County. You have people at the Air Force Base over here that come from Lenore. So we need someone that's going to be a strong voice, somebody I think that's going to be accessible, somebody that's going to be a political conservative in Raleigh, so I can go up there and join Chris and John. But we're going to need somebody that's going to be a strong advocate for us, for the people of this region, of this district, that can stand up for our farmers, our military folks. School bond referendum, they're going to take it up this quarter. And in this session, that school bond referendum tremendously affects rural counties. I had a conversation in breakfast with our superintendent yesterday morning, and we talked in great detail about the needs and how important this school bond referendum will be to Wayne, it will be to Lenore. Joe and I talked about it will be vital for places like Duplin County. We're Eastern North Carolina, and we have needs, and we can do and be special things, but we've got to have leadership that's going to be a strong advocate for us. And so if you ask the folks in my district, what are my strong suits, they would say that it is service and it is advocacy for them. I think of the old movie, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I don't know if anybody's here old enough to remember that. But where they picked a citizen and he went to Washington and got elected by the public, kind of like the president we got. But I'm of the people, and I think the people in my district would tell you that. And I spoke to my people and I told them I was going to run for this seat because I believe in transparency and I want them to know what we're doing. And I explained it to them in this context, and I hope you will consider this. I told them that they have been my family for the last 8 years, and I get a little emotional. I love the people I serve, and I think they love me. It's a love affair. But I told them that we've been a family, and if I was to be fortunate enough and you honored me to select me to serve as your senator, then this would be an addition to the family. And when you add someone to the family, it's a family, and you love everybody the same, and you work for everybody the same. And if you were to honor me and select me to be your senator, then what I would do is there would be no difference to me of the people who live in Oakland or the people who live in Pink Hill. There would be no difference in the people who live in Mount Olive or the people who live in Deep Run. We are all one people. If you lived in Marmac or if you lived in LaGrange, you would all be citizens of the 7th District. And that's how I would treat this. And so I hope you will consider, when you sit down to ponder the candidates, and there are a truckload of us, I've heard two schools of thoughts, and some people have said, we need someone who's going to raise money. And let me say to you, that is true. Because running for this seat, as Chris will tell you, having run for his seat, is very expensive. So we are going to need somebody who can raise funds. Other people have said, we need someone who can get reelected. And yes, that is true too. But there's that's 2/3 of the equation. The most important part of that equation for us in Eastern North Carolina, these next 2 years are going to be critical for us. These next 2 years, we have the House majority and we have the leadership in the Senate. We have got to get things done these next 2 years because the metropolitan areas are going to wake up and they're going to multiply their leadership advantage already, and they're going to start appointing leaders, and we're going to lose the advantage we have. So it's critically important that whoever fills the seat be able to raise money. That person has to be able to be reelected. It has to be someone that can go out and work the people. And I do think that's my strength. Most importantly, that person's going to have to go up there and advocate for rural Eastern North Carolina. They're going to have to advocate for the people in Wayne County. They're going to have to advocate for Lenore County. And we're going to have to advocate in partnership for Eastern North Carolina. It is critical to us in our way of life that we get a strong advocate in the next 2 years, because the door may close a little bit for us after these 2 years. So I just wanted to share some of my thoughts and philosophies with you, and ask that you consider when you sit down, you know, if you talk to others on the executive committee, that you share our conversation tonight. And if it's in your heart, I would appreciate your vote on the executive committee. As I told Mr. Freeman back there, I put this in God's hands, and whatever happens will be is God's will, and I'll be good with it either way. So I'll open the floor, and I'll take any questions you might have. Somebody. Because if you don't, I'll keep talking.
Mac, I'll start.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Brandy Rouse. I live in Lenore County, but I grew up in Wayne County. So I'm kind of a bi-county girl, you know. Have a business in Wayne County. We farm in Wayne, Duplin, and Lenore counties. But I just want to say, when Mac was saying that there is no county lines to him, he truly means it, because you all know Seven Springs was truly flooded. Several times in the last few years. And Jeremy Price is here. He's the chief at Seven Springs. And you can ask him. Mac was there the whole step of the way with some of our other leaders to help get funds for the fire department in Seven Springs. You know, it didn't matter to him that it was in Wayne or Lenore. It was just that he was there for the people that needed the service. So, you know, Seven Springs would go to my house if it caught on fire, which is in Lenore. My business is in Wayne. You know, so it was important to me that he would cross the county lines. He did not see the county lines as far as that went. And then having a child in Lenore County schools, I can tell you he is a big advocate on education. I don't know many other people that the opening week of school take Bojangles biscuits to the staff to every school. Him and Chris did that, you know, as a welcome back to school. Thank you for what you do. Then on the agriculture side, we farm. You know, this is our family farm. I stood beside Mac and Chris, as a matter of fact, at Joey Carter's farm when they had a rally there supporting the pork industry. That's in Duplin County. That's not even in either one of them's district. It just shows that county lines to him are not an issue. And anytime I've needed either one of them, I pick up the phone and they answer. And they're easily accessible. They're approachable. And that says a lot to me that I have somebody representing me, whether it's Wayne, Lenore, Duplin, whatever county. I mean, you know, you can call him. And Mac will do, if he ain't got an answer, he'll find one for you. And he'll be back in touch with you pretty quick. So I do appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And so this is Jeremy Price, Chief of Seven Springs.
I'll add to what Brandy said. And during Matthew and Florence, we it was both were very devastating, but we're tucked in the corner of Wayne, Lenore, and even Duplin. We're on the corner of the world, as I say. But county lines are. We often think there's a wall there, but they're invisible. They mean a county line means nothing to me. I live in Lenore County. Mac was, well, Sheriff Pierce also, and Joe Gurley. Whatever we needed, those three individuals made sure it happened. During Matthew, there was a lot. Seven Springs there's nobody. There weren't as many people during Florence, but during Matthew, it was a fairly sizable town. We didn't have any supplies for the people that had been flooded, cleaning supplies, food, whatever. And Mac had set up a distribution point in Kinston, south of Kinston, and I don't know how many truckloads of stuff that he arranged for the people in Wayne County. And we had donations come in, but if it hadn't have been for what he done, a lot of people benefited from that in Wayne, even some in Duplin, the surrounding area. And as far as on the county level for the fire service, we've not had Lenore County. It was a little testy at times with some of the emergency management officials, but since Mac's been in office, he has been a true advocate for the volunteer fire departments, EMS. He has fought hard to keep EMS from moving around. And where we're at is, like I said, we're in the corner, and we're often, I feel like we're forgot about, because we're so close to other counties, but he's really looked after our area more than anybody in my lifetime that I can remember.
Thank you. He talks almost enough to be a politician.
No, sir.
And I add a little bit. Of course, we sit on the board with Sandy Bottom together. So we've had some interesting meetings. But the one thing I respect about Mac the most is his brutal honesty. He's one that'll dive into any issue to find out more about it himself before he comes back and tells you. One testament to that fact is he's one of the only people I know that'll go around do ride-alongs with EMS, do ride-alongs with the sheriff's department to get first-hand experience and knowing what they face so he can make better decisions for them on a county level. You know, add to Jeremy, during the hurricane, every day he came by, checked up on us, made sure we had everything we need, brought other people by to check up on us. He's one of the good ones and the very few that you can honestly say is a brutally honest person. And that means a lot in politics, I think, especially in these days.
I'm paying all these people out to do it.
We
So,
like cash.
but, so I'm here to answer your questions, any questions. If you don't ask, I'll keep talking. I can say, Sheriff Pierce is here. As Daniel said, one of my other passions is I firmly believe in our EMS and our law enforcement, our volunteer fire departments, and I'll tell you a little side story. Mom, Deborah, y'all met her. Deborah and I decided about 4 years ago, our daughter's grown, she's 44, has MS and won't have grandchildren. So Christmas and Thanksgiving are a little different for us. You know, we go look under the tree on Sunday, on Christmas morning, and we look at each other and go back to bed. So we decided, I said to Deborah about 4 years ago, why don't we do something different? And at Thanksgivings and Christmases now, we feed all the EMS, sheriff deputies, and the highway patrolmen that are on duty at our house. This year we cooked 40 steaks, and the communications folks, and we cooked 40 steaks, and that's a challenge. But my family, and I'll tell you, when we do that, it's the greatest gift that Deborah and I have ever gotten for Christmas. And because these folks do so much. And if you ever ride along with our EMS and our sheriff and deputies, and particularly one night I rode around and we went to shooting, and you get a greater appreciation for these people in Lenore County. You know, our young deputies are making $35,000, $36,000 a year. You can't help but admire the folks that do this. And when we went to that shooting that night, and one of the officers was calling that there were shots fired, and he was on the scene, and we were rushing there. You could sense. I was in Vietnam. I served in Vietnam. And if you've served in combat, there's it's hard to explain, but there's a ultra heightening of your senses. And everybody that was on the scene was very hyper. I hadn't seen it since I was in Vietnam. I'd say it's 50 years ago. And I looked around at these folks, and because I wanted to ride to understand them, and I go back to what I said earlier. If you're going to serve people, you have to get out. You have to know your people. You have to, because if you don't understand what Sheriff Pierce goes through, if you don't understand what Daniel and Jeremy go through, and they come to you with a need, it's hard for you to understand how it impacts them. If you don't go into the schools and you don't see the struggles that the teachers have, it's hard to understand. A lot of times people just say, well, they're just complaining. But when you go in and you sit down and you're there with them, the first 2 years I was in office, John and Lewis and I have been friends ever since I've been in office. And I called John up, and I said, John Bell, and I said, John, I want you and Lewis to come to Pink Hill Elementary. I want you to sit down. We'll get in a room with the teachers. We won't have any principals. We won't have any central office. I said, let's get in a room. let's sit down with these teachers and let's let them tell us what we need to do to help them. How are we in their way? What can we do? And John Lewis and I went to Pink Hill. We had 20 teachers in the library. No one else. We locked the door, stayed in there for 3 hours. There were tears of people. But I can honestly say, and John told me this later, it was the first such session in North Carolina, and when he went back to the legislature, soon there were 20 of such events of legislators going across the state, sitting down with their teachers, saying, tell us what you need. And I do believe, not that I did anything, but it helped the legislators understand. And the legislation that we've seen by our Republican legislators the last 5 to 7 years, a lot of that has come from that. I see where Mark Johnson just said this week we're going to try to reduce testing. That was one of the issues that came out. We had John, in one of our schools, we have a large STEM camp in the summer, and one of our K-8s. We also have a Teach America big presence there, and I go every year and visit because it's neat what they're teaching kids. We had 4-year-olds programming robots. So I got on the phone, I was excited, I called John. John comes down and I give John the tour, and then John gets home, goes to the legislature, he talks to Mark Johnson. Next thing I know, Mark and Alan and John, everybody's down here at Continue Savannah checking out the STEM camp, but they go back, and one of the things that came out of that meeting with Mark was the unnecessary testing we're doing of our children. And I do believe if you're going to serve, and you're going to serve your people, if you're not among your people, you can't understand what your people want, what your people need. Chris and I had breakfast this morning. We will have breakfast tomorrow morning and Friday morning and Monday morning. I have, the 8 years I've been in office, and these folks can tell you, I have what I call quarterly breakfast. And I advertise it on Facebook. I'm a big Facebook person. You want me, you can get me on Facebook and we'll talk, right? But every quarter since I've been in office, I go to restaurants in every region of my district, and we sit for 3 hours, and anything, I try to take the government to the people so that the people can come to me and tell me what's on their mind. Because I firmly believe if I don't know the people that I serve, if I don't understand and sit and talk and listen, then I can't go back and represent them, because I'll be sitting up there making laws and passing ordinances and have no idea how it will impact them. I'll have no idea how zoning will impact a farmer. I'll have no idea of how putting cameras on school buses will affect not only safety but discipline. I'm just very, I am a people person, and I love the people I serve. I get emotional about it. My wife kids me. She says to me often that she thinks sometimes I'm happier when I'm out there with my people than I am with her. But not true. But it is. And I feel that I really would be honored to serve you. And the reason I want to serve is at this level is because I like to help people, and I like to help my people. It will give me greater opportunity, and you would be my people if I was in the senator for District 7. It would give me an opportunity to help even better, because there would be more power, more opportunity to to make things happen, things we need in Wayne County. Help Allen partner with the aerospace corridor, which benefits Wayne and Lenore, but it benefits Eastern North Carolina. To be able to stand there and support what I think is very critical now is our hog farmers and our farmers in general. You see the lawsuits and our hog farmers are under threat. But what you don't see is that the average farmer out there is struggling big time, particularly the family farmer. And I can tell you in Lenore County, this is going to be a very interesting year because we've had 2 hurricanes in the last 4 years. It affects our towns. Every time we have a hurricane, as I told Senator Tillis's office here, every time Eastern North Carolina has a hurricane, it erodes our economy. Bit by bit by bit, it's eroding our economy. It's destroying our small businesses. It's hurting our agribusiness community. So we need a voice to join with the ones we have in Raleigh to help us figure out how to do something different. I told Walter Jones when he was in Lenore County back before Christmas, and he was saying that he couldn't find the money, there was no money in Congress to dredge the Neuse River or the Cape Fear or the Tar River. And I said to him, and I am, as one of these folks said, I can be bored. And I'm not, I don't think I'm on Representative Jones's, Congressman Jones's high list right now. But I told him, I said, you know, if you can go find the money, and our delegation does this, to dredge the Port of Moorhead when it needs it, even though the money's not there, if you can go to Wilmington and find the money to dredge the Port of Wilmington, if you can go find money to do beach renourishment projects, you can go find the money somewhere to dredge the Neuse River, to dredge the Tar River, to dredge the Northeast Cape, so that our people don't have to go through this every 3 to 4 years. And I firmly believe that. Don't know that he did, but I think he got my message. So somebody surely has a question.
Changing the subject, I'm
Yes.
Dallas from Wayne.
Hey, how are you?
All this stuff you hear about going on and how it affects everybody with this border wall and the government shutdown and illegal immigrants,
Yes.
what's your stand?
Well, I think the president's right. I think you do need, I have believed for a long time, we need to overhaul the immigration system, period. That we just keep kicking the can down the road, a lot like we're doing with hurricane prevention in Eastern North Carolina. We need to go ahead and establish, people are going to come here, and they're coming more and more in numbers every day. So we need to control how they come here. We need to have them come here and be responsible, value-adding citizens. And coming in mass and running across the border isn't a controlled system. And this is the land of opportunity. But we need to have firm, established rules. And we have to get control of what we're doing from an immigration standpoint. Because not everybody that's coming across that border has sainthood in mind. And the bad guys in this world, they understand the weaknesses, and they understand, and Sheriff Pierce understands this better than anybody, they understand, the bad guys are smart. They're not dumb, and they figure out, every day they figure out how more and more to manipulate the system. You know, and you change, they're gonna change. And, you know, as much as we're advertising our open borders, if you don't think people in Syria and Afghanistan, Africa, if you don't think those people are seeing what our people in the news are showing, how easy it is to get into this country, then you're naive. But we've got to do something. It's sometimes the method to his madness is hard for people to understand. But if doing what he does gets us to the table, and we finally address immigration, then I think he's doing the right thing. Because you got to do something. You can't just allow this to continually go on. I didn't mean to get off. Does that maybe? Of course, I can't help do the wall in Raleigh, but you know, I'm always open. I'll tell you what I think about most anything. So, especially the good thoughts about my wife. Yes.
Change the subject. Do
Yes.
you have any thoughts on protecting the base, military here?
Oh,
Protect the
yes.
base?
Yeah, well, the two, I guess you're talking about economically and, yeah, well, there's no doubt that,
We want it kept, but I mean how?
well, the greatest way to do it is through advocacy. You know, Alan and I have been in conversation with folks in DC. The squeaky wheel
Mhm.
gets noticed, and as we start to move into this new Congress, our legislative body, coalition, Chris, John, myself, hopefully, we need to be in constant conversation with our folks here in DC. I'm blessed that I have a really great relationship with young Adam Caldwell, who was here the other night for your last meeting, who is representative of East North Carolina for Tom Tillis's office. And Adam and I have a really great relationship, as does I do with Senator Tillis's office. We've been able to help the Global Transport with some things. We were able to last year get funding to replace, well, let me rephrase that. After Matthew, the hurricanes run together now. After Matthew, Senator Tillis, I was able to get with them and get them to help FEMA fund replacing our school bus garage that was washed out. It's critical that our legislative body, particularly Eastern North Carolina, that we come together and that we be that voice and we be a very vocal voice. This is why I say to all of you, and I know I'm getting a little long here, I say to all of you, the next 2 years is critical for this district, for the Senate district. It's critical for Eastern North Carolina. The reason I worked so hard to help get Chris elected is because it is so critical that we have people that are going to advocate for what our needs are. And I will be a large voice, not just for Seymour Johnson, but I'll be a large voice for all our military bases, because Eastern North Carolina depends on them. It was never more abundantly apparent than when we did the Military Growth Task Force, and we studied the 9 counties that connect to both Seymour and to Camp Lejeune, and the economic impact and how growth could help and or hinder those bases. I've had several meetings down at Camp Lejeune with the leadership down there because we were trying to get the infrastructure improved down to Camp Lejeune. But I would be a big advocate. it never leaves my mind that the two biggest economies in eastern North Carolina and in North Carolina totally, the two biggest economies, economic engines, are the military and agribusiness. And if you take the military and agribusiness out of eastern North Carolina, we're in trouble. You know, we're in huge trouble. So we cannot afford to lose them. That's why this next 2 years, I think, is so critical. I think we need to have somebody who can raise money, and I think we need to have somebody that is electable. But the person that's serving the seat the next 2 years better be busy. They better be committed, and they better be a hard advocate for where we are in our way of life, because if not, our way of life will change. That's not a preacher, no, sorry. But you asked. The people who know me, that I'm very passionate about that. So, Joe and I have had that discussion several times, and yes, sir.
I'll preface this by saying I definitely am not for illegal immigration. But locally in North Carolina and locally, we need a way of providing driver's license with the requirement of insurance for undocumented people. There was a bill that was introduced, and I think it somehow didn't go to it didn't come out of committee maybe, I'm not sure, but anyway. And there will be sheriffs that do not agree with me, I'll tell you that. Some sheriffs say, no, they're undocumented, I'm gonna put them in jail. Well, I can go out tonight and fill my jail up if I wanted to. But probably 50% of the wrecks Jeremy goes to, if they're able, he don't find a driver when he gets there probably, because they're up and gone.
No license, no tags, and no driver.
That's right. So, you know, we really need a way, like if an undocumented person could get a driver's license, even if they had to show proof of insurance every year to maintain that driver's license. We need something done by it, because they're here, they're gonna be here.
Yes.
They're gonna drive.
Yes. Yes.
You know, it's a fact.
Yes.
And so I hope that bill, wherever it's at, may resurface and be considered again.
Brent's with DOI.
Well, I can tell you this, there is, it's not a bill that's on the floor yet, but there is a bill that's being studied, and it's not just for illegal immigrants, but it's to have a way to track insurance on everybody that's licensed. Now it's tracked on your tag, and if your car loses insurance, then you get a letter from the DMV. Well, shortly, if your driver's license no longer has insurance, you'll get a letter from the DMV, and you'll be losing your license.
But
So-
if you're undocumented, you can't get a license.
We do
If
have
you ain't
that
got a license,
process,
you get
all
insurance.
we've gotta do is figure out a way to tie that to it.
Right.
Because that will keep a licensed driver insured. I will take that to your department.
And I talked with John Bell, and like I say, there was a bill introduced, I don't know if it was last year, I'm not sure if it ever got introduced. There was one in Cavite, I think, but I don't know if it ever got.
Was it assigned a bill number?
There was a signed bill number, and John actually got it for me, because I met with the Latino community last month. And, you know, that is a concern they have. I told him, I said, if you break the law, I'm gonna put you in jail now. But if I can help you, you know, I look at undocumented and illegal as two different things sometimes.
They are two different
You know,
things.
you know, I look at illegal as, you know, you go out and commit a crime, I'm gonna put you in jail. If you're undocumented, that's something we have had a fallacy at the federal level for years, and we can't help it now. We, as local people, can't help it now. So we need to do something about it, what we can do about it.
Well, I think President Trump is working on that. But first, there's no solution to immigration reform until you close the border.
That's right.
Yes.
As long as that border's open, no matter what you fix today, you're gonna have to fix something else tomorrow, you're gonna have to fix. I mean, we done amnesty with Reagan, and we fixed the problem, and now we've got the same problem again now because we didn't close the border. So if we can just have people that will support Trump, and
Yes.
getting our borders closed, we can have immigration reform that will be successful.
Yes, and I'll say this,
So rally him on, we need to keep the government closed until they
Yes.
commit to building the wall.
yes,
Right.
this president he's a northerner, so he's not the most polished person. If you've ever been to New York City, you know what I mean.
But he's very effective.
I said to someone just yesterday, he may be the most effective president.
Absolutely.
Despite all that he's had to fight for 2 years, this may be, and he gets it.
He does.
You know, I had a discussion with my cousin's, she's now his ex-wife, who was president of the bank before he was elected. And we were talking about the election, and we both agreed, because we look at it on a much grander scale. We both agreed that what Congress or the president needed to do was to immediately get in office, drop the corporate rate, incentivize Apple and all those countries that were building plants in Ireland, stashing trillions of dollars overseas, to incentivize them to bring that money back to this country and invest it in jobs. And we would have a return, it would spur the economy like we had not seen in years. And that's what he did, you know. It was a common sense thing that he took the bold step to do that. I think he's taken the bold step here that hopefully will fix this problem. But yes, you're right, and for those who think that this problem's not going to get worse, Sheriff Pierce, you need look no further than Duplin County and southern Lenoir County, the district that I've represented. The influx of and the growth of the Hispanic population, and I'm sure it's filtering over into Wayne, has been huge over the last 5 to 10 years, and it's going to keep growing, and so we have to start thinking different, and that's one way to start thinking and making changes, because it isn't them that suffer; it's the victim in the car.
That's right. It's
The other car.
person's gonna get hit.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the person who's, you know, he's going to have to go to his insurance company. So, good point.
If he's allowed to do
If
that.
he's alive, yes, yes, yes. So, anybody?
I've got a tough question for you, and if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to.
No, sir. I'll try to answer anything you
But
ask.
it's kind of different.
Okay.
Tell me what you think the best quality of your 5 opponents are, announced opponents.
Well, I have to say I know 3.5 of them. So I'll start with the half, person I know the least about. Mr. Bravo, he seems to be a nice guy, good guy. So that's a good quality. Joe Daughety, I do think that it's important in this Senate district with the challenges that we have in rural communities. As the sheriff knows, with unfunded mandates, and as Mayor Scott knows, with unfunded mandates, I think it's important, very important, that we have someone who's had experience in government, who understands what it's like to have the legislature pass a bill, say you got to do it, find the money yourself in Tier 1 counties and impoverished rural eastern North Carolina. So I would say for Joe, he understands that part. Who's name? Billy Strickland. He's a good attorney. He seems to be a nice guy. I mean, I don't know that much about him. I will say I do serve Wayne right now in one capacity, in that 2 years ago I convinced my board that we needed to address the opioid abuse problem in Lenoir County, and we created an opioid abuse drug abuse task force that I chair today. Part of that, Judge Heath and I and some other folks over there filed for a grant with UNC and Blue Cross to create a regional opioid crisis team. And that team consists, and the grant that we filed from Lenoir County was to do such a team for Wayne, Lenoir, and Green. And so we collaborate together with your opioid task force over here. Ironically, Dustin Pittman, who's in Billy's office, serves on that committee with me, and with now 3 judges and healthcare and officials from all 3 counties, and we're trying to address this. One of the things I will say to you out of that committee is that I have asked us to send a resolution to him and to John that we need another drug treatment center in these 3 counties. And as I told him at the time, and this goes back to how I feel about regionals, I don't care where they put it. If they put it in Wayne, good deal. If they put it in Green, they put it, I don't care. But we need to have a facility because we don't have adequate treatment facilities in these 3 counties. So technically, I am figuratively serving Wayne in that capacity because I'm working with your Wayne folks here. So I don't know Billy that well. I just know that he and Dustin are partners, and he seems to be a nice guy. And in Lenoir County, there is Jim Perry. Jim is like a son to me. He brags about all the time. He used to come wash my cars when he was in high school. He went to school with my daughter. Jim came from a single parent family, and when he was at state, I got him internships with the office that I worked for. He interned with us 3 years in high school, in college, and I gave him his first job working for us. He's extremely intelligent. He's like I say, he's like a son to me, and so that's what I can say about him.
Now let me tell you why I asked you that question.
Sure.
It's important that a candidate that's gonna represent Wake County be able to recognize the qualities of the people on the other side of the fence.
Yes, I agree.
Because Chris is gonna have to work with Raymond Smith. John Bell's gonna have to work with Raymond Smith. And if you can't find a good quality in him, then you won't even try to use him to your advantage.
Yes.
So I appreciate the fact that in such short term, in a week,
Yeah.
you've studied your opponents enough that you know, of course now Jim's a little bit different, but you've studied your opponents enough that you, if need to, you could work with them to make something happen in Wayne County. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Whoever gets elected will be the senator for all the people, or should be, for all the people in this district. And as I said in the opening statement, there should be no difference in the people in Oakland, or Marmac, or Pink Hill, or Deep Run. You're the representative for all the people. It is, as I like to say, and I firmly believe, I think I told your wife this earlier, I believe it is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And, I wish everybody well. Obviously, and I'm not an egotistical person. Everybody, there's several people who know me know I'm not an ego person. But I think I'm the best person to serve, or I wouldn't still be in the race. And some of these people we talked about have called me and asked me to drop out. And I told them, well, I'll tell you what I told them. If I didn't think I was the best person, I wouldn't have been in the race. And if I didn't think, I think it's crucial, and I cannot say this enough, it's crucial for our agribusiness community and our military bases these next 2 years, while we've got rural leadership in the House and the Senate, that we get somebody that's going to advocate for us. And I think, knowing what I've seen, that I feel I am the most qualified to advocate. To advocate, you have to have a passion. I'll tell you a little side note. I don't know if you noticed, I have no notes. And I never speak with notes. And the reason I don't speak with notes, and this is a little secret you don't know, is I have always believed if it's in your heart, you don't need notes. If you speak what's in your heart, you don't have to have notes, you don't have to have a record, because what you say today, you will say tomorrow because it's in your heart. And in my heart is a passion to serve the people of Eastern North Carolina, particularly our agribusiness people, and our rural communities that really need this bad right now. So I think it's critical. I hope that all of you exercise your opportunity to go vote, but this is critical for this district. We've got to get this right. I cannot stress that enough. I know you're tired of hearing me say that, but it is important. Whether it's me or any of the aforementioned, just make sure we get the right person. Brandy's counting on it. I mean, she's not me, but she's counting on us
Yes.
to get the right person. Brandy is counting on us to get the right person. Sheriff is counting on us, and as is Mayor Scott. This is critical. This is one of the most important elections for these two counties in this district in a while. I think since we elected John Bell together. You know, we in Lenore and Wayne, we did that together. And we did pretty good, I think. So, anybody else got any questions? I'll answer anything. Joe, you're awful quiet.
No, I'm listening.
Ms. Iris?
Good, good.
Well, thank you all for coming, and you're welcome to stay and eat the food, and, 'cause you know I gotta take it home.